if they want to. Talk don't bother me. I want the whole wide world to know that I love you so.
And welcome to Let Them Talk. I'm Paul DeRienzo.
And I'm Miss Joan Marie Musi.
And Philip Van Aver is back, joining us again here on Let Them Talk. Welcome, Philip.
Well, welcome back.
Yes,
Welcome back.
I'm pleased to be here again. And my prior visits, we've always talked about political issues in Manhattan, especially lower Manhattan,
Right.
where we all live and have been politically active. But today, on the most politically important day of the year, we're going to talk about art,
That's right.
specifically my work at my current exhibition, upcoming exhibition.
Well, I figure we'll give the new president a week to get settled before we start.
Start criticizing.
Yeah, right. Finding all nitpicking his regime before it even begins.
Yes.
Now you're a painter.
That's correct, and I've been active in the art field since really the early 1960s, and in Los Angeles, and I came to New York in 1966, and I continued working as an artist, an illustrator, and painting, doing commissions for people. But this is exhibition, which we'll talk about, is my first major exhibition in a major New York gallery, and I'm almost 70, and I think it's very consistent with yes, you can.
Right.
And we want to say that exhibit is coming up. It's going to start on Saturday.
Right.
It's going to run through the 21st of February. It's at the D'Amelio Terrace Gallery, and that's at 525 West 22nd Street.
At 10th Avenue.
10th
At
Avenue.
10th Avenue, so
Okay.
you've got a month to get there and see these remarkable paintings.
And we'll mention again where it's going to be later on.
And we'll give you their website.
But I'd also like to point out that although this may be your first major exhibition at a New York gallery, you do have work in the Museum of Modern Art, in the Museum of Modern Art in San Francisco, and in
Another California institution.
another California museum. So we're talking about someone who does have work in museums as well.
And in addition to talking about my work and the exhibition, we will be screening images.
That's right, so you get an idea.
That were scanned for a DVD, and these are not necessarily the works in the show,
Right.
but they're consistent with what is in the show.
Great.
And I hope they'll give you, the viewers, an idea of what kind of artwork that I do.
Okay, great. Well, shall we go to the first piece and you can tell us about it?
Absolutely.
We're going to put it right on the screen and just continue talking right over it.
Yeah.
What do we have right here, Philip?
Now,
what do we have?
This painting was completed in 2005 and is part of a series of depicting deserted places. And it's titled Overgrown Landscape with Arched Gateway. And it's characteristic of my work in that it's very detailed and semi-fantastic. And unfortunately, this exhibition came about very quickly, and we only were able to show my framed works. And so maybe the next time I have a show, this painting will be in it. But
Tell us a little bit about how big is this painting in reality? How big is it?
Yes, I would say offhand, it's about 6.5 by 8.5 inches approximately, and it's gouache on paper. And gouache, for those who don't know that term, is basically opaque watercolor. It's not an oil painting. It's basically a water-based media.
How do you, it's so precise and so, I mean, on most people's TV, they're probably watching it, this image, a lot larger than it actually
Yes.
is. So you have a fine eye, I mean, to be able
Well,
to...
I have to admit that I do use the magnifying glass at age 69 years old. And I draw the, for instance, you see in this work, there's a lot of stone work. And the stones are drawn in with brush and ink and then painted. Why don't we move to the next
You've got
image?
a very steady hand, too.
Well, that is.
Now, one thing I know that's common to a lot of your work is the borders.
Yes, that's correct. That is a unifying aspect of my work, regardless of the media. I also use decorative borders in the drawings, but it somehow presents the image. So the image is not just kind of floating around.
Sort of a pre-frame.
Right, especially because it's a small size work, it needs a certain kind of presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And in the last 30 years or so, I've gradually put together a body of work that is more or less consistent. I mean, there are a variety of subject matters, but they all are basically the same technique, and they all are characterized, as you pointed out, by decorative borders.
Now, I hope folks have a really good TV screen out there and are watching this on a new tube TV, because they'll see the colors as vividly as we see it here in the studio.
Well, I love the colors in your work.
Right.
And I think you have an incredible color sense.
Yeah, that's a very important aspect of my work. I do like to present these subjects in a very straightforward manner, and with very direct kinds of color. Now, this is the second work I did in the series of this one is called Overgrown Landscape with statue of mounted rider, I think I call it. But there's part of the composition. The composition includes a statue of a horseman.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you frequently depict other art in your art, whether it's a statue or an urn or a...
That is correct. I like to paint the things that interest me, and I like to reference other periods in art. And that's a characteristic of the works that are in the exhibition at DeMilo Terrace Gallery, and generally speaking, that is true. I should tell the viewers that Paul and Joni came to my apartment in May, and they saw most of these works in my apartment.
Which was a wonderful experience.
Thank you. In the past, I hadn't shown my work in my apartment because people would come to down to the Lower East Side and they say, "What a dump." but that did
Which we did not say.
Since you both live on the Lower East Side,
and our very own dump.
You would be the pot calling the kettle black.
So Philip Van Aver, tell us about this painting.
Well, this painting is of course a different tonality. It's a night scene, and it's one of this painting is in the exhibition. It was done, as the best of my recollection, about 1984, and it's called Night Scene with Reclining Figure, and the figure is actually based on a Renaissance drawing by Parmigianino, but I'm not as good a draftsman as Parmigianino, and you know, brilliant drawing has never really been part of my interest. But this is a figure that actually recurs in other of my pictures. But to the best of my recollection, this is the first appearance, and I said this piece is in the exhibition along with two other works of similar tonality.
Tell us, Philip, where folks can go see this. Where's the exhibition again? Let's tell folks where that is.
It's at the DeMilo Terrace Gallery, which is 525 West 22nd Street. It opens on Saturday and goes for a month. That's through February 21st.
Okay.
Now, another thing I wanted to talk about while Paul puts up another painting is